Once two brothers, Mike and John, worked on their farms. They would wake up early to tend to their fields. They often helped each other with plowing, planting, and harvesting.
"Hey, John,"
called the elder brother, wiping sweat from his brow.
"could you help me spread this fertilizer? It will give our crops a good start."
"Sure, Mike,"
replied John, grabbing a sack.
"We want those tomatoes to be the best in the country."
They talked as they worked, tossing handfuls of fertilizer across the soil.
"It looks like we could use some rain,"
said John, looking up at the cloudless sky.
"We'll have to water them ourselves for now,"
said Mike.
"Let's make sure they stay hydrated until the weather changes."
They took turns watering the fields, chatting about old times, and making plans for the upcoming harvest. When the time came to harvest, the brothers worked tirelessly under the sun, gathering the fruits of their labor.
"Look at these pumpkins, John,"
exclaimed Mike, holding up a particularly hefty one.
"They will make great pies."
"And these tomatoes are impressively large,"
John replied, his face beaming with pride. As they loaded the produce onto the cart, they shared stories of past harvests and joked about who was the fastest picker. Their farms flourished under their combined efforts. One day, Mike and John stood by the edge of the stream that flowed between their farms.
"I need more water for my crops, Mike,"
John pleaded, wiping sweat from his brow.
"The drought's hitting hard, and my plants are wilting."
Mike crossed his arms, his expression tight with worry.
"I understand, John. But my fields are suffering too. We have to find a fair way to share the water."
John's frustration mounted.
"But you're diverting too much water to your side. It's not fair,"
Mike said.
"I'm doing what I have to do to keep my crops alive, John. We both have families to feed."
"You always think of yourself first,"
John accused. Mike's face reddened.
"I'm doing what's necessary to survive. I can't help you."
"You are selfish, Mike,"
John exclaimed. Mike's eyes flashed with hurt and anger.
"And you are stubborn. Maybe we were never meant to be partners."
One day, a carpenter passed by, seeking work.
"I am looking for some work,"
said the carpenter. Without hesitation, the elder brother pointed across the creek towards his younger sibling's farm.
"Look at that farm. Build me a fence there, tall and sturdy, so I won't have to see his land again."
The carpenter nodded knowingly. He began to work diligently, When the elder brother came out to inspect the work, his eyes widened in disbelief. Instead of a fence, there was a bridge connecting their farms. Just then, the younger brother appeared.
"Brother,"
he said with surprise.
"you built a bridge. A bridge to mend what was broken between us."
The elder brother embraced his younger brother, and they stood there on the bridge, looking around to thank the carpenter. The elder brother realized he had vanished. In the days that followed, the brothers worked side by side once again. James was a young man who worked for the government in a small town. He liked delicious mangoes. Unfortunately, the mangoes available in his town were not of good quality. They lacked the juice and flavor that he craved. Every day, James yearned for the perfect mango. He imagined biting into a ripe mango, its sweet juices dripping down his chin. In the meantime, James diligently carried out his government duties. But his heart was always set on finding ripe and juicy mangoes. Despite the scarcity of quality mangoes in his town, James remained hopeful. James made the decision to plant mango trees on his farm. He carefully planted mango seedlings and took great care of them. With patience and dedication, James watched over his seedlings as they gradually developed into sturdy, flourishing trees over the years. James found joy in seeing the progress of his mango trees. He eagerly awaited the day when these trees would bear sweet mangoes that he could enjoy right the ripe mangoes from his own farm. The season came, but the trees remained fruitless, which disappointed James. But he did not lose hope and continued nurturing them. The next year, he was happy to see the flowers. But in season, they all got infected and could not bear fruit. This made James angry. Out of frustration, he thought the trees to be a bad omen. He cursed his luck and decided to sell the trees, along with the farm. A nearby farmer bought the farm and the trees. The same year, James got a transfer of his job, and he shifted to a new, bigger town that had a good supply of quality mangoes. He relished it every day. Years passed, and one day he overheard a mango seller calling out, "Sunbeam's mangoes." He became excited as he heard the name of mangoes coming from his hometown. He was curious to know how and when Sunbeam started producing such good quality mangoes. The next morning, he boarded a bus for Sunbeam and, through an inquiry, he reached the place of origin of such mangoes. He was surprised to see and know that the mangoes were coming from his own farm, which he had sold long ago. He went to meet the farmer who had bought his farm. The farmer told him,
"The year you sold me your farm was a drought year. That year, the trees had remained fruitless. But the next year, the trees were loaded with plump mangoes. I got the farm's soil tested, and through the report, I came to know that such soil was most suited for mangoes. I immediately sowed the whole farm with such seedlings. It is my farm's mangoes, which are famous far and wide."
Listening to the words of the farmer, James was in tears. He had missed the opportunity to own the famous mangoes because he showed no patience. Moral: keep going and stay patient when working towards your dreams. Success may take time and involve challenges, but persistence pays off in the end. If you believe in yourself and never give up, you'll eventually achieve great things.